Hey everyone, how you doing? It's your boy Shaheener coming at you with another episode of the Pokemon Babblers podcast. Of course, as always, joined by my co-host Bano over here.
What's up?
Hey, and we are going to be talking about actually multiple games today because they're basically all the same concept of gameplay. So I decided why don't we just put it all into one because we probably won't have much to talk about after the first release. So we're going to be talking about the Pokemon Rumble series, which started as a WiiWare title on the Nintendo Wii. Came out June 16th, 2009 in Japan, North America November 16th, 2009, and Europe and Australia actually came out on the same day on November 20th, 2009. Yeah, it was developed by Umbrella Company, which is the same company that made Hey You Pikachu, Pokemon Channel, My Pokemon Ranch.
Wow, they really let them have a fourth chance, huh?
Yeah, they were given multiple chances to make just weird shit, semi-shit spin-off games.
A decent game.
Yeah. Honestly, though, wait, didn't we play Pokemon Rumble together, or was it...
I used to play it, but I don't know if we played it online. I had it.
No, not online. I thought we played it, like, couch co-op.
Maybe,
or,
I don't know.
It was that, or either that or Matt, our friend Matt, IRL. I think I played it with him at one point. Basically, these games are an arcade-style beat-em-up, where you take a Pokemon, which I think basically when the level starts, they kind of wind them up like a toy, which that thing is called a wind-up key. Start them up, and they go through a dungeon-like level where you're just fighting different Pokemon. You'll befriend/catch them, and once you get to the end of the level, there's going to be a boss Pokemon, whether it's like a really, really strong one or a legendary.
So this game can be played with multiple controllers using the Wiimote, a classic controller, or a GameCube controller. Basically, it only needs like a directional pad and the A button. It doesn't need a lot of different buttons to use, but you can also do couch co-op, like he said. He was playing with Alex before, or Alex was playing with Alex. Mm-hmm. Alex is playing with our good friend Matt, where one person controls the Wii remote, the other one uses like a classic controller, which is pretty cool. And the game isn't too like demanding that it's impossible to play with other people.
Yeah, you just got to be like right next to them if you're doing that, just because the cord for the classic controller is so short. And so you have to basically be like right there. But I actually didn't know that until I was working on this. I always thought that you had to have separate controllers. But it's cool that it actually recognized two different like inputs when it's one connected controller in a way.
Right, and I think that couch co-op would go on to inspire like the other Rumble games and other Rumble modes and stuff like that. But anyway, it only features Gen 1 through 4 Pokemon.
No, Gen 1 and Gen 4, sorry.
Gen 1 and 4?
Not Gen there's no Gen 2, no Gen 3. It's just Gen 1, Gen 4. That's it.
Okay. Yeah. I might be remembering something, or I might be looking at something different, but I'll talk about that later. Mm-hmm. The player starts off with really low-level Pokemon, and you just literally, like, you get 2 attacks, and you just smash the A button.
Yeah, because, like, when you start, you only get 1 attack, and then later on, you're given another attack. You have to buy it, basically.
And then you can, I think you get coins, and that you can use those coins to either, like, buy a TM, or it just straight up redoes the move that you have. And you can also recruit Pokemon. And like I said, every Pokemon gets 2 attacks. There's also have like some modifiers like Lucky or Speedy or stuff like that, which influences like how fast the Pokemon moves, or like how many coins you get, or if you can recruit a new Pokemon. Because basically, it's like a chance if you defeat a Pokemon, then it like just stops moving, and then you pick it up, and then you get added to your collection.
Yeah, exactly. And with these Pokemon as well, the art style is pretty close to how My Pokemon Ranch is, where it's kind of like again, they're based on toys, and it's kind of like. It's very, like, there's a lot of polygons on these characters. They're very, like, low design on there, but it's kind of charming in a way. I kind of like it. But I think it's because Umbrella also developed My Pokemon Ranch that they just copy the assets over, or at least they're very heavily inspired by it. So yeah, basically, you have to defeat all the Pokemon to rank up, and after certain levels, then instead of battling, like, a big Pokemon, as I mentioned before, you'll be battling legendaries, so... You'll be dealing with, like, the legendary birds, or Mewtwo, which I believe is the final boss in this game, Dialga, Palkia, Giratina. I think the only Pokemon that wasn't in this game that was in Gen 4 is Arceus. But yeah, since these Pokemon are just, like, based off of the toys, there's, like, Pokemon that have different forms, like Shaman. Like, it won't change forms when you're playing. Like, it's just, like, you have land form, you have sky form. Like, they're not, like, the same.
Yeah, and, so it works like Mystery Dungeon. There are passwords that can be used to unlock Pokemon with special traits that aren't normally obtainable, which is cool, I guess, but I don't know if that was tied to, like, internet functionality, and, like, if you somehow stumble upon a Wii that has Pokemon Rumble, if those passwords will still work.
Yeah. If you haven't like redeemed those passwords already, then you could still get them in the game. Like, I don't know where exactly they posted those passwords, whether it was on like the Pokemon website or if it was like in a strategy guide or something. But yeah, you just type in these passwords, and I think they're already coded in the system. It just unlocks them basically.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's not like it's not like the mystery gift events where you had to go in person and it was like limited time. Like you could redeem it at any point. But once you do unlock those Pokemon, the game's broken. Like you can't really like there's I mean not like there's really much of a challenge in this game anyways, but there's even less of that once you use the passwords. So if you want to actually I mean again, if you actually have this game, uh don't do the passwords if you're playing it first time around if you want to like have a full experience. Like only do that if you're just like trying to mindlessly go through. But honestly, like this game is pretty monotonous. So, I mean, after a while you're just going to get I feel like you're going to get bored and then might as well just be like, "Hey, I just want to muscle through the game and see what it's like at the end." And just get whatever Pokemon are in the passwords. Hey, and there's one thing that I think you might find interesting.
I do find it very interesting.
Shiny Pokemon are in this game.
They are, and yeah, I actually did a little bit of well, I did not too much research. I basically just Googled it a couple times because, as you know, I watch a lot of shiny hunting on YouTube, and one of the people most associated with it, or like the biggest one that I know of, is Absol. Blogs Pokemon does Rumble Weekend, where him and a couple other people will play Pokemon Rumble over the weekend and try to look for shinies. But going back to what we were talking about earlier, is that it's in original Rumble, shiny Pokemon are available. However, it's only Gen 1 and Gen 4. But in all the videos I've looked at him playing, he's found like shiny Bayonet and shiny Noctowl and like Pokemon that shouldn't be in the game. So I looked a little bit deeper into it, and it looks like there is a Wii ROM hack called Pokemon Rumble Weekend Edition, and I'm assuming that adds the other two generations of Pokemon.
Unless I'm like totally wrong then, which I mean,
no, I doubled. Well, at least I checked on Cerebi, but yeah, I think it's Rumble Weekend Edition is a ROM hack that adds in Gens 2 and 3 to the game, and then that's what people play, so that way they can get all the shiny Pokemon.
Yeah, I wonder what the odds are for shinies in that game. Like
I believe it's still full odds.
Like 1 in 8,000? Damn.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I think that's why he plays it, because he's pretty much a full odds hunter exclusively. I think he's done a couple of like method hunts, but for the most part he does full odds.
Dang.
I think he recently did his Teal Mask movie, so it's just him recording him playing footage of the Teal Mask, and he still is doing full odds in Scarlet and Violet, which is, pretty crazy. So good on him.
Oh yeah, that's absurd.
But yeah, the Rumble Weekend, I don't know exactly what happens, because usually like when stuff like this happens, like Egg Month or Safari Week, I know exactly when those things happen. Safari Week's in June, Egg Month's in April. But Rumble Weekend, I've never paid attention to, because it's not like, I could take the Pokemon from Rumble and put them on the main series game.
Right.
But it is fun to watch, because it is, when you do go through these levels, there are a lot of Pokemon, like a lot of Pokemon. So it really makes like full odds hunting not very long.
Right.
Like you could probably get a shiny like within an hour or two just by blowing through levels.
Yeah, because especially these levels are relatively short. It's pretty bite-sized. I think it's also because of the WiiWare title, and so I don't know if it's one, like they want to make it feel more like an arcade game, or two, because they don't really have much of a budget because it's such a small game. It's just going to be a WiiWare title.
That in space, because while downloading games is like, is the normal these days, I feel like with WiiWare titles and like small titles like that, they have to be a smaller game size, so that way you aren't downloading like a 10 gigabyte game or like a 4 gigabyte game and taking up space on the Wii. It has to be a smaller thing.
Exactly.
Which is probably why there's only Gen 1 through Gen 4 Pokemon, or Gen 1 and Gen 4 Pokemon.
Because I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, that a Smash Bros. Brawl was only like 9 gigs, and that was by far the biggest file size for a Wii game. I think they're usually around like 2 to 4 gigs typically. But yeah, that one was definitely more because there's so much content, and there's also so many like audio tracks in there too. So like trying to fit everything in there is just absurd. And so I can't imagine Pokemon Rumble being a big file size. Maybe like 100 to 500 megabytes at most, I'm guessing. Maybe a gig if you're pushing it, but I can't imagine it being that.
Half.
Yeah.
Probably.
Also, something I didn't know about too until I was researching this, but so you could release Pokemon in this game, and when you release a certain amount of Pokemon, then it'll give you like a stronger version of it, or like it'll give you some kind of benefit. But something I found out is that if you release certain Pokemon at the same time, that you'll be able to redeem for a legendary Pokemon. Like the example that I put on for our notes is basically if you release Charizard, Pidgeot, Fearow, and Magmar at the same time, then you get a ticket to redeem for a Moltres. And they have other combinations to get like the other birds or Mewtwo or Dialga, Palkia, etc., which is super rad. But I don't remember if that was like something you have to do like post game. But I think if you're getting Charizard, you're already pretty late in the game as it is. I don't know. I thought that was a pretty cool feature. Although I haven't really seen what other people really think about Rumble. I mean, I enjoyed the game when I played it, but I knew that it was just like a one-trick pony, basically. Is that it's pretty much only one thing the whole time.
Yeah, it's not. It's kind of follows the same thing as pinball. Like, it's great to pick up and play, but it's not something you're going to sit down and play for like hours.
Yeah.
Unless you're dedicated to doing a specific thing, which in this case is, shiny hunting, because I can't see you playing Rumble on hour for just Rumble.
Yeah, I can't imagine anybody playing this for anything other, unless they never played it before and they're just playing through it just to be like, I want to play all the Pokemon games.
Yeah, just
or because you're really dedicated to shiny hunting for a game that you can't transfer Pokemon away from it, then that would be pretty cool. I mean, I know they had wireless features from the Wii to the DS. I mean, that was shown in the Battle Revolution episode. Yeah, so there is an adventure mode for this where there are several normal rank stages. And so each of the Pokemon, so on each level, there's Pokemon that can be befriended and caught. And when you're playing through the main game, it's like Gen 1 pretty much only. And there's multiple levels on there, multiple stages. So it's just kind of your standard format of think like a Mario game, basically, where there's there's a forest level, there's a water level, there's a sand level.
Think of an extremely gutted Mario game. Yeah. Where there's only 6 levels and they're just repeated. And
there is a Battle Royale mode, which, of course, Battle Royales are now the thing. It's the hotness. But, so Battle Royale building doesn't open until the player's befriended a Pokemon of a certain level. And then that way, you just kind of go through a gauntlet. You're battling multiple Pokemon. Last one standing wins, which should be you because this game is a cakewalk. And basically, when the Battle Royale is won, then the player increases in rank as well. So that'll help with continuing forward the overall game.
If I'm not mistaken, they all have it's not CP, but that's like a
modern power,
equivalent. Yeah, a modern equivalent, because I think they all have numbers associated with them. Like I remember high 2000s or high thousands.
Yeah.
A thing.
Exactly. Yeah. So combat power, they really delve more into that in Rumble Blast in the next game. But definitely something where you could have a Pokemon with a lower combat level, and then you'll find another one with a little bit higher. But then once you go to the next evolution step of it, if you're going from Squirtle to Wartortle, then you'll definitely notice it get even stronger than that. And the moves that they'll get are stronger too. So it's you'll see a Blastoise with Surf or Hydro Pump or something like that.
Yeah, they're just checking out the passwords. There's a lot of passwords.
Yeah, there's a lot in this game. A lot of Pokemon to unlock and a lot of passwords. Of course, the final boss is Mewtwo, because it pretty much always is Mewtwo. It's always going to go back to it, because that's just the original bad guy Pokemon, I think. So yeah, once you beat Mewtwo in Rank S Battle Royale, then Advanced Mode will be unlocked, and then Gen 4 Pokemon will be available. And then once you complete the Advanced Mode, then EX Mode will be unlocked, which has a random assortment of both the generations, including some other Pokemon that weren't shown when you were playing through. So there is some replay value to it, but you're still doing the same stuff, because the Pokemon all have the same types, essentially. And so, yeah, there are type advantages as well. So, water is good against fire, and so on and so forth. So, there is some nuance to it, but it's still pretty surface level.
It is just a button masher.
Yeah, just think of it as, a game that you would play at an arcade. You're putting in a quarter, you're playing a couple levels, and it's just you're not overthinking, you're just mashing buttons. But it's still, it's still enjoyable for a little bit. I mean, especially, if you're playing with, if you have, nieces, nephews, or anybody, kids, it's just fun, I guess.
Yeah, it's a game you could put on and they'll be enamored for an hour before they get bored.
Exactly, but something where you're an experienced Pokemon fan, you're not really going to go to it unless you are shiny hunting. But also, unfortunately, this is going to be, I think this will be a recurring theme in this episode. But as of 2019, with the Wii Shop channel shutting down, this game is no longer legitimately obtainable. So unless you had purchased it prior, then you can't Like, you can't get this game legit. There's only one way of getting it is by pirating it, basically.
Sailing the high seas.
Yeah, sailing the high seas. It sucks, but I mean, it is what it is.
And at this point, if you're going to do that, you might as well download the weekend edition that adds the Gen 2 and Gen 3 Pokemon to the game.
Exactly. I think I'd be hard-pressed to play this game vanilla. I think I'd have to play, like, the weekend edition.
I don't know. Maybe you could do that for streaming later.
Yeah.
Look into it.
That would be I always thought about playing Rumble, because I remember playing a lot of Rumble Blast. I played through Rumble, the original one, but I had a little bit more fun in Rumble Blast, which we'll talk about very shortly. But with this game, like, again, like we've been saying, it's like it's fun, but not fun for more than like an hour, because you'll kind of just be like, okay, I get it.
Right.
But yeah, I would give this game like a 5 out of 10. Like, it's fine, but it's not the worst. It's not bad by any means. It's very
definitely
monotonous.
not what they've done before. It's not Hey You Pikachu, and it's not Pokemon Channel.
Yeah, those games were dog. Those games were absolutely terrible. This one is actually somewhat redeemable.
I'd say a 5. It perfectly describes this game. It is an average game with Pokemon slapped on it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, it's like, it's hard to find like the rock paper scissors format that isn't Pokemon. So this kind of like fits that niche, I guess.
It's not going to be the best game you've ever played. It's not going to be the most fun game you've ever played. It's just going to be a moderate game that you put 30 minutes into an hour into, and then be like, okay, and then just never play it again.
It would have been more exciting like in the moment when the game came out, but now looking back on it, it's not worth it. Like, it's just whatever, basically. Right. So a couple years later, they decided that they should capitalize on their perfectly mid game by throwing out another semi mid game, which is Pokemon Rumble Blast, which was released on the 3DS in Japan in August 11th, 2011, North America October 24th, 2011, Europe December 2nd, 2011, and in Australia December 8th, 2011. And so all the Pokemon from Gen 1 to Gen 5 are in this game, so including Gen 2 and Gen 3. The only Pokemon that are not available are Meloetta, Keldeo, Genesect, which they haven't been revealed yet, so that would make sense.
Right.
These games, the gameplay is the exact same. Like, that's pretty much, I'm just going to say that right now. The gameplay is the exact same in all these games. Like, it's just arcade beat 'em up, go through dungeons, battle Pokemon, battle a boss or legendary, get stronger, win coins, get better moves. Win coin, earn coin. But this one is kind of cool too, where you could actually battle other Pokemon that other players have with Street Pass. So I only found that out just now as well, because when I was playing Rumble Blast, I think I was already in college by the time I played it. And I remember having fun with it, but I don't think I ever
you were
played
in college
it
before we graduated.
No. I didn't get it for a while after.
Okay.
I didn't get it for a while after. So, like,
right.
I was in college, because I didn't get a 3DS until right after we graduated, which was 2012. Like, my dad got it for me as a graduation gift. So then I had to, like, basically, like, buy all the stuff. I'll buy all the games myself, because I didn't, like, he just gave me the system, or he just got me the system, but I didn't have any games. Yeah, so that would have been cool. Had, like, when the 3DS was, like, super popular, just being able to Street Pass and battle other Pokemon, especially ones that are stronger than you. I don't know if it helps you to rank, but I mean, it'd just be cool as like a challenge.
Right.
But there is actually a plot to it, because it's a full-fledged 3DS game. It was released at full price, which at the time was $40.
I was going to say, yeah. I feel like that's the only reason this game has a story, is because it's full price, and it's not like a 3DS shop game. Like, that should be like $10.
Yeah, it should have been an eShop game, which there is one, which we'll talk about. But yeah, this one, it was a full-on game with a full plot, which is not a great plot, but it's a plot. Basically, you're in Toy Town, and basically the mechanics of the game, like how to battle and stuff, is introduced in a battle royale. You're immediately thrown into a battle royale. You win, and basically what keeps the Toy Town running are these things called glow drops, which have just been stolen. And so you have to go through these levels and find out who stole the glow drops. Turns out it's Cobalion, and you fight Cobalion, but they're too strong for you. You're pretty much just like SOL. So you get stronger. Actually, no, the Cobalion breaks your wind-up key, which actually is a pretty big thing. So you can't switch out Pokemon. You have to stay with the one Pokemon, I believe, for a while there. And then later on, you find Cobalion again. It reveals that it's been stealing the glow drops to fix this thing called the World Axle, which is rusted over, and there are Pokemon inside of the world Axel. So it's just basically trying to save the other Pokemon, but unfortunately it's taking from you and your Toy Town. So basically, you're trying to go deeper into the world Axel, and you find out that there's an entity called Dark Rust that is a source of all the rust that's covering the Axel. And it seems to be invincible, which, to help, like, break it down and, like, break down its force field, Cobalion sacrifices its key to destroy the force field. And then after that, you, the player, are able to defeat Dark Rust, and the day is saved. So, yeah, it's like, it definitely, this game is way longer than Rumble. And so that means there's way more monotony, but there's also a lot more Pokemon to choose from, which does help break it down a little bit, especially if you have your favorite, which is cool. But, I mean, it's not much better than the original Rumble. Like, it's good, but it's not much better. It's just longer.
We go from, like, maybe 300 Pokemon tops in the first game to probably well over 500.
Yeah, it's
everything from
646 Pokemon.
Okay, yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot of Pokemon.
It's a lot, but like you said, it's just the same gameplay over and over and over again. And this whole story could have been solved with a can of WD-40.
Oh, yeah, WD-40.
Yeah, you just put some WD-40 on the World Axle, and it should have been fine.
Oh my gosh, it reminds me of the scene in King of the Hill where, like, Hank's trying to use his WD-40, but it's all rusted over, so he takes his small can of WD-40 to spray the can of WD-40 to use the WD-40. It's so dumb.
That's what you do, dude.
Yeah.
That's all it takes is this little WD-40.
Yeah, you could totally just alleviate all these problems, but, I mean, that would just make sense.
Right.
No, but I definitely remember enjoying this game at first, but then after a while I was like, okay, let's get this over with. This is getting boring.
Right.
It's a game to look at, but it's not.
It's a game to look at.
Yeah.
It's a game you look at in the game case, and then you pass over for something else.
You could probably find it at your local game store for like $10 at this point. Which, I mean, that's
$10.
one of the only ways of like legitimately playing this game. It's not like in the original Rumble where it's like completely digital and now it's gone because Nintendo decided to shut down their online storefronts, which is stupid, but whatever. Yeah. Game preservation and all that. But yeah, I would give this game like, I give this game also like a 5.
Right. I would say actually game preservation like in the last 2 years has become like a really like not in depth, but like really
it's more talked about.
Yeah, it's more charged nowadays that people are like, realizing like, especially like Nintendo cutting like the Wii Shop, the Wii U, the 3DS eShop, that like we really need to start like keeping these games and keeping these functions like together. Yeah. Even like obviously it's because it's Pokemon, that's why a lot of people care. But even like Black 2 and White 2, there's like an active community trying to set up like the dream world so that the functions of those games still are, like aren't locked away. Obviously there's also the servers for like the events like with Victini and Liberty Garden and all that stuff that people set up. And also, just redoing all the events like with Heart Gold and Soul Silver and Platinum and stuff like that. So I think it's really cool that people are taking it seriously now, and we're moving on and stuff like that. Because people do get nostalgic, and people are like, I want to play Platinum again, but I don't. I want to get Shaman and play the game with that.
Yeah.
And they're just like, Nintendo's like, haha, shit out of luck for you.
Yeah, and like it really brings up, like you said, it's just a bigger conversation about that in terms of like these games that are digital, like these companies, these developers are putting so much effort into these games, especially independent developers too. Like they're putting so much effort and time into it, especially if they're making like a Nintendo exclusive, and then all of a sudden they're pulling the rug from under you. They're like, yeah, you can't play this game anymore that you spent years of effort to develop, and all these fans enjoy your game so much, your product, and we're not going to let you put it on anything else, so it's like it's gone forever. And so everybody has to just pirate your stuff. Like nobody, like, I feel like that it's not as talked about anymore of like sailing the 7 seas per se, where it's like, I remember like, of course it was definitely the thing like when you're younger, if you have like the internet at your fingertips, that it's like, oh yeah, I can just download whatever I want because I don't have any money. But it's like, but now it's like when you have money, it's like, what's the point of like pirating stuff? Like support the developers so they can make better games. I mean, that's just more of a side tangent, I guess. But in terms of like the overall grand scheme of things, like you're not really seeing like Microsoft or Sony shutting down their stores for even like the 360. I think they still have it up, if I'm not mistaken, or they just shut it down recently. But like they were even talking about it, and people were freaking out about like shutting down the original Halo 3 servers.
Right.
And so it's like, and Nintendo's just like, oh yeah, a few years, okay, this is gone, bye. Like, what?
Right,
like, I invested so much money into you just shutting this down?
Right, and
ridiculous.
it's like it's like for the eShop in particular, it's like, okay, if you buy the game and you don't have enough space, you can delete it. But that was the thing; you could go back and download that game whenever you wanted because you bought it on the eShop. Yeah. Now it says it's gone. If you don't have it downloaded, you're shit out of luck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So like, it's like all this wasted money, and they're like, oh well, we gave you an advance notice and stuff like that, and it's just it's a jar of really really bad pickles.
Yeah, especially when they announce that too, then people are gonna panic buy and just give them more money in like a short burst just so they could download the games that they want, and then and even then, like, people that aren't in the know or like getting into it later on, they can't play them legitimately and like support developers so they could like use those resources at something else. Like, that's insane. It's like, I don't want to pirate stuff. I don't want to have to download stuff. I want to be able to buy it directly from them and be able to play it as intended. Like, I don't want to have to do all this other stuff. Like, it's super suspicious, and it benefits no one other than like you wanting to play the game. And if you're not going to pirate it, like, all you could do is watch gameplay videos of it and then wonder what could have been. And that's just so silly.
It's like, if it's so, like, not even talked about or so skimmed over, you might not even be able to find that gameplay or find a video of it. It's just lost to time.
Yeah, like, long story short, it's like don't shut this shit down like that. Like, give us other options to play these games and enjoy the content. Like, don't leave us hanging like that. Just like, I don't know.
Right.
Like, keep the servers up longer. Like, like how much fucking money they made from the Switch alone could keep those servers up for years, and they're just not doing that. Like, they'd rather just put out some freemium game or whatever and just call it a day, and then get rid of that in like a year or whatever after they make their quick buck and dash.
I think it's like, you need to either like add it on to something. Like, if they added it to like the Switch Online, like, hey, you paid $3 extra to your Switch Online, make it $23, $25, whatever. We'll keep your account on the eShop on the 3DS eShop open. Like, make it give me an alternative. Don't just take it away from me. Like, take it away from me and just say, oh well, guess what? Shit out of luck, friend.
Exactly.
Because I'm pretty sure there'll be more people that are willing to pay.
Yeah.
To keep their stuff on.
Because it makes me concerned too, especially for something as specific as like Pokemon Bank and the Poke Transporter. That like, think about, like, for example, like with my Ribbon Challenge, had I done this in a year from now, who knows if the bank's going to be open? I don't think I would have been able to do that. I would have had to start from like from the Switch. I would have had to start from Gen 8 basically.
That is the hot contention right now, is that they are going to shut off 3DS internet functionality in April of 2024. But they also have said that Bank itself will be closing at some point. It was in the same post as them shutting off the 3DS internet functionality, but Bank was also hinted that it might also cease functioning at some point in the future.
Yeah, which is so crazy because that's such an important feature for Pokemon enthusiasts. Where it's like, you could take Pokemon from your Game Boy Advance to the DS, to the 3DS, to the Switch. That's insane. And then once this link is cut, you can't do that. It's just Switch only, and that's it. So unless if there's some fans, like super fans, are making an alternative to Bank on like custom firmware, that's done. That's over.
Right. It's gone. And also, it's the same thing with the eShop. If you didn't download Bank or Poke Transporter when you had the chance, it's gone. You can't transfer anything. You literally have to find somebody that has it and pray that they're willing to help you transfer Pokemon, because that chance is gone. Yeah. And it really does seem like it's going to be the end. Like, they're just going to cut Bank off, and that's that.
And it breaks my heart to hear that too, because like, there's so many important, like, I don't know, I feel like it's so important to just keep that link going. I mean, yeah, I get it with, like, they can't go from Gen 2 to Gen 3, like Game Boy Color to Game Boy Advance. I get that. But to sever the link of, what is it, like, 5 generations, like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and you're severing that link, you're cutting out so much history. And also the Gen 1 and 2 Virtual Console games, you're cutting out basically 7 generations of games just because you don't want to pay for servers.
Right.
That's so sad.
That is the one thing they might. I think I can see an alternative to the problem being maybe that they make it like a free version of Home, because obviously they don't want to pay for the servers to have like tons and tons of Pokemon, which at the end of the day, that's the only thing that bank is useful for, is keeping, like a copy of a living dex. So that way, if you start a new version of X, ORAS, Sun, or Moon, that you could just go, hey, let me log on bank, grab those, put them on there, put them back. Now I have a full complete dex. Or, if I want to do a playthrough with missing Pokemon, I can do that. Mm-hmm. But I can see them doing like a reversed copy. Like there's 3 boxes or something. Yeah. But I don't know. I don't know what the future holds, but if they do cut it off, yeah, like you said, that's insane.
I think that there's gonna be. I think even now, I bet you that there are fans that are trying to make an alternative to it through custom firmware that you could transfer your Pokemon from the 3DS to the Switch. I'm sure that there's somebody working on all that, but of course you'll have to get custom firmware and that whole thing. Which I think that's the only way of getting bank now at this point, is like downloading it through like HShop or something. Mm-hmm. But yeah, or even, like, if you just, like, upload your save to, like, PK Hex and then take those Pokemon and transfer it to, like, a modded Switch to have your Pokemon in there. The only ways that I can think of it working if somebody can't do, like, a third-party app on it. Like, you just extract your save file, put it on PK Hex, and then transfer them that way. Which is... It's so sad. Like, I don't want to have to do that. That sounds like a hassle.
Right.
Yeah. Ugh, I don't know, man. But, Pokemon Rumble
anyway,
U.
check out our emergency Babblers episode when April comes around and we get more details.
Yeah, mm-hmm. Yeah, because game preservation is super important. Like people put so much work in these games, and like if they're just being lost to time, that's just a loss on everybody's parts.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean, support developers when you can. Buy games that you like, play them, let them know that you like it.
Don't pre-order games.
But I want to get my removable tattoo from Mario.
I want to get my pin. I want to get my digital art book.
I want to get my Rubik's Cube.
My CD game soundtrack.
So dumb. Yeah. So Pokemon Rumble U came out. This one is a very, very polarizing release from what I remember. So it came out on the Wii U eShop, which you could tell where this is going. So it came out in Japan April 24th, 2013, Europe August 15th, 2023, Australia August 16th of 2013, and August 29th of 2013.
Wow, we get it last?
Yeah, we got it last for once. Like, that was really weird.
Oh no, we got Rumble U last.
No, anyways. Yeah, so all 649 Pokemon are available, and you could battle up to 100 Pokemon like on the same screen at once, which is wild.
Nice.
Up to 4 people could play on a single console at a time, and this is the first Wii U game with NFC technology. So, I mean, we're more familiar about it with Amiibos, but before that, they had these little figurines of like the Pokemon from the games, like certain Pokemon at least. You buy them from like a GameStop or a local retailer. And you tap that onto the game and use that Pokemon. You get better stats and like you kind of train it up in a way, kind of like a Smash Bros. Amiibo. Mm-hmm. But yeah, those ones are. I mean, of course, it's been 10 years since this game came out, so the only ways you can find them are from third parties like eBay and things like that, or if you just like download the NFC ones and just use like one of the NFC readers or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, caught Pokemon could show up in one of 3 Pokeballs depending on their power level. So it could be a red ball, a gold Pokeball, or a crystal Pokeball. Which crystal one, of course, is the best one. Mm-hmm. And then a random factoid about this game is that this is the only original Wii U Pokemon game. So Pokken Tournament that was released on the Wii U was a port of an arcade game, so it's not technically Wii U first. And so yeah, so Rumble U, apparently we didn't get any other Pokemon games because nobody cared about the Wii U. I liked my Wii U, but since nobody cared about it, then it's like, and all the good games got ported over to Switch except for Wind Waker and Twilight Princess HD. Then yeah, it's this game existed.
I was thinking to myself, I was like, I bought a Wii U, but I can't remember why I bought a Wii U. And then I remembered I played the shit out of Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate on the Wii U. That was what I played a lot of it for, or that's why I bought it for, because I played it on 3DS, but 3DS didn't have online functionality. Like I couldn't connect to the internet and play with hunters around the world, but that's what was available on the Wii U edition, and that's what I had to. So I had buy the Wii U copy of the game. It did have save transfer, so I could take my 3DS.
Amazing, by the way.
Yeah, I could take my 3DS save, transfer it to my Wii U, and then play on there, and then take that progress, transfer it back to my 3DS.
That is such an underappreciated feature. When you're going from system to system, and it's the same save file, that's amazing. But also that means that the games have to be the exact same thing, too.
Right. They also have to buy 2 copies of the games and 2 consoles.
Yeah, and especially if you're buying in the moment, you're definitely buying them pretty much full price. But later on, like, Capcom was really dropping the prices on those games to as low as, like, $3, I think. But, yeah, that was the only Monster Hunter game that I really, like, played at all. And, yeah.
That was, like, all of, like, 2013, 2014 for me, aside from X and Y.
Yeah, that was 2013 was a time, man. That was a time.
Right.
Like I remember we played Monster Hunter a little bit together. I remember you helped me try to get some certain parts, and then I still remember playing Pokemon X on your couch. Like right when it came out, we went to get breakfast, and we went back to your apartment, and I was just laying on the couch just playing like this. I was like, this is so sick. But,
3D Pokemon.
Yeah. But of course, Rumble U is unavailable now because the Wii U eShop shut down on my birthday this year, March 27th of 2023. So, yeah, unfortunately my birthday is cursed with the shutdown of the Wii U eShop and the 3DS eShop. So, ripperoni. I think this game is... I mean, I don't remember how playable this game is without the figures, but I'm pretty sure that... I think, if I remember correctly, they had a very heavy reliance on it. I didn't play it myself because I wasn't going to drop money at the time, at least, on little figurines, which then I later bought all the Smash Bros. For Wii U amiibo. So I think it was just like, it was a little bit of a head. Like, I think it's just a kind of a way for them to test the waters about to see how it would work and if people would like it. I don't think people gave a shit about it at first, but then the amiibo, that thing blew up like crazy, and I don't know if anybody expected it to blow up the way it did.
Right.
But, yeah, because that was in the midst of the whole Toys Alive thing, like Skylanders and Disney Infinity. Yeah, like, everybody was doing their own Toys Alive thing. But Nintendo, I think that was that was the earliest one that they did. So, I don't really have a rating for this game because I never played it, but I would much rather...
all the blanket rating, 5 out of 10. They're all the same game with just different skins.
Yeah, so I just didn't bother with it. Like, I'm not going to buy a game and then buy figures and do all that. Like, I'm good. So Rumble World came out a couple years later. So it was released initially on the 3DS eShop only, a digital title, released worldwide on April 8th, 2015 as a free-to-start game. Which, I don't know if we ever talked about that, but that's my favorite kind of game, is a free-to-start game. So it would then be released physically without the microtransactions later on in like the end of 2015, early 2016. So there is a retail copy of Rumble World with all the stuff pretty much unlocked. But let me rant to you about free-to-start games. I fucking hate them. I can't stand them. I don't play any free-to-start games out of principle. Anything that is like... No. Well, fuck you. Yes. So I have never played Pokemon Go. I have not played any free-to-play games or anything that is like that. I'd much rather, personally, pay full price for a game. I don't even mind paying a little bit more. Like, pay full price for a game and not have to worry about any of that. I just want to go through the game. I don't want to have to play, stop a little bit. It's like, oh, you could just wait and you go back later. Oh, you don't really have to buy anything. You just earn coins as you go. It's like, no, it's the principle of it all. Is that it is so ridiculous that I have to pay a little bit at a time, and especially if you get invested into a game, you really enjoy something, and you're spending more than what an actual full release console game price is. That's absolutely mind blowing to me, and that's just kind of a standard that's just accepted at this point. It's like, or even like games that have like they're half-assed, and then they have the gall to put out DLC at the end of it. It's like buying a 1,000-piece puzzle, and you're only getting 750 pieces of it, and then you have to go and buy the rest of the 250 pieces just to make the complete picture. It's so stupid to me. I cannot stand it. And so I did not play Rumble World, and I refuse to play it, even though you could like get the retail release. It's just it's fucked. I can't stand it. At least with this game, there are Pokemon through Generation 6. And so there's Mega Evolutions, there's Primal Reversion, so Primal Kyogre, Primal Groudon, and Fairy types. So this was right at the midst of Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire. So they're really trying to like push those kind of things.
By X and Y.
Yeah. Yeah, Mega Evolutions though.
Yeah.
So the player is assuming the role of their Mii in the Kingdom of Toys, because 3DS you have your Miis as well. And the king of the Kingdom of Toys requests the player to travel to different lands to battle and catch Pokemon, yada yada yada. Uses forms of currency called Poke Diamonds that could be either earned through regular gameplay, could be purchased directly through the eShop, or exchanged via Street Pass. And so, in terms of those methods, you get a limit up to 3,000 diamonds. That's so you could buy all of that stuff, and then after that, if you run out of those diamonds, every day there's going to be like, I think there's a place that's like a mine basically, where it'll give you 40 Poke Diamonds every day to play with, in case if you just are that like dedicated to this game or that bad where you're wasting all of your Poke Diamonds. I mean, I guess it is good that they limit how much you could spend. That is kind of cool. But, like, why instill that in the first place and have it free to start? Why don't you just charge the $30 or whatever it is at the beginning? Yeah, so completing challenges also gives the player Poke Diamonds and other items such as, like, clothing and other aesthetics. Once a challenge is completed, then the hard mode version of that same challenge is available. There's a thing called Balloon Stop, which I didn't really understand this. I tried to read into it, but I just didn't get it. It's basically like a Pokemon Seeking Adventures kind of quest thing. Is that the stage that the player visits is decided by roulette, and there are going to be stars or basically each one has a difficulty level of like 0, 1, 2, 3 stars. And if you're on Fever mode, then there's 4 and 5 stars that are added on there, and then Super Fever mode is adding 6 and 7 stars, so it's like it gets extremely difficult, but it's still just a button masher at the end of the day. And also, as we mentioned before, as of 2023, the game is no longer available to download or make microtransactions due to the 3DS eShop closing. I mean, you could try and find the retail copy, but I mean, who really wants to? So, who really wants to, honestly? I had more fun talking about game preservation than talking about this shit. I don't have a rating for this one either. It's just it's a free to play game. What do you have to say about it, Bono?
5 out of 10. Moving on.
5 out of 10. Moving on. Okay, and last but not least, the last game, as of right now, is Pokemon Rumble Rush, which was released on iOS and Android. So now it's finally on mobile, which it sounds like that's where they wanted to go. So it's on mobile. Came out May 15th, 2019 in Australia. For some reason, they got it earlier than everybody else. And then the rest of the world on May 22nd, 2019. The game progresses through islands, which consists of levels where player goes through, whatever. Combat power, so the power levels, that's a thing. Players can now obtain gears, which help in boosting stats, gaining support Pokemon, so forth. Ores could also be randomly obtained that could be refined to make more gears and more coins. Microtransactions are also very much in the game. And it's a mobile game, so it's like, if you played a mobile game, you've probably played Pokemon Rumble Rush. But you can't play it anymore, because as of 2020, literally like not even a year, I think it was like a year maybe or so after the game came out, the game is no longer available, it got discontinued, Pokemon Company took it off the store shelves. So, sorry.
Right.
Yeah, Rumble really came to a bad end to it. Like, it started mid, and it ended shit
Poorly.
And really
poorly.
and there's only 2 of these games that you can legitimately obtain at this point, but you have to buy them from like a third party. So Rumble Blast and Rumble World, and that's just because they had physical releases. Everything else is lost to time, unless you already downloaded them, unless you already purchased them, or you're downloading them from somewhere else. So yeah, again, moral of the story is preserve your games, put them on different platforms.
Pokemon Rumble, A Tale of Mid.
Yeah, Tale of Mid.
Basically, I give all these games a 5 out of 10. It's the same thing. It's not engaging aside from like the first 30 minutes you play. It's literally like, that's why people do Rumble Weekend, because shiny hunting is a hobby where it's just, you turn your brain off. You turn your brain off and just do a simple monotonous task, and some people find that relaxing, other people find it, infuriating.
Yeah.
So it is what it is.
Yeah, it's mind numbing. It's like it's almost like in a way of like, it gets us more mentally stimulating than like doing a soft reset, where you're just resetting and clicking, resetting, clicking. Where at least you're going through levels, and you might need to switch a Pokemon out every now and then, but it's still just the same stuff over and over again. So that's why we lumped all these games into one episode, because like it's literally all the same game. Like if you played one, you played them all. If you played one for half an hour, you played them all. It's like, yeah, there might be different Pokemon, there might be different types, but how far could that really go? Unless they do a complete overhaul of this game, which I can't imagine them doing. I don't even think that they'll ever put out another Rumble game based off of that. It's been like 4 years since that last one came out, so I doubt that they'll do anything else. Especially the way that it ended on mobile.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't see Rumble making a comeback. If it does, I'd be shocked. I feel like Rumble is another one of those, like, I'd say a branch on like the spin-off game tree that's just withered and died at this point.
Exactly.
Or if not, it needs to be cut. It needs to fall off the tree.
Yeah, because there's definitely better spin-offs that they could have indulged in more, like XD and Coliseum. But yeah, I think that's basically it for this episode. I think we've babbled enough.
Yeah, don't forget to put a warning in halfway through the video of just the game preservation rant.
Yeah, or a spoiler warning, because the plot's very important.
The plot is extremely important.
How are we going to defeat Dark Rust?
WD-40.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's it. Thanks all for listening and watching and listening to us ramble and babble. If you like what you heard, let us know in the comments. Subscribe. You know what to do. Check out Bano on Twitch. He's been streaming again lately, so check that out.
Intermittently,
Yeah. And I think by the time this episode comes out, we'll be in the middle of Charity Week for 2023. So if you want to check that out, we'll be streaming on Twitch, twitch.tv/Shaheener. We'll be raising money for Rainbow Railroad. I'd love to have you on there. And, yeah, that's basically it. See y'all later.
Diversify y'all bonds.
Diversify y'all bonds. But not with the eShop, apparently. Later. I want Milos.